Alright, sorry about that. Let's just keep going here, wrap it up. So all the things that I drew here on my plane, on plane Q, I drew a bunch of points, I drew a segment, a ray, a line. I could draw as many of those as I really wanted to. I don't have time though. But all of those things, as long as they're on the same plane, they are called, and we refer to them as coplanar. Coplanar means on the same plane. Alright, let's talk about the opposite of coplanar. Let's float away from plane Q. Let's pretend like we were floating high above it, and now we're looking down on plane Q. Well, everything that was on plane Q was coplanar, but in the universe, as it is, it can be infinitely big. So we can have all of these things that are outside plane Q. If I want to talk about all of these things together, I can't say they're coplanar because they're not all on the same plane. I have to say they are non-coplanar. They are not all on the same plane. The things that are on plane Q are coplanar, but all of these things together, their relationship is non-coplanar. And let's say I had another plane over here. Maybe it cut right through there, or Q is cutting through this other plane. Let's call it R. Well, these points right here that are on plane R are coplanar. But all of these ones on the outside and all of those are non-coplanar. And the points that are on plane R are non-coplanar with the things that are on plane Q. So non-coplanar are things that are not on the same plane. Let's zoom back into my plane Q here. Let's just talk about a line that happens to be on plane Q. This line specifically has a bunch of points. Remember, they have many points. Let's talk about 3 specifically though. I'm going to name them A, B, and C. Well, since all 3 points are all on the same line here, then they are referred to as collinear. So much like coplanar means on the same line, or on the same plane, sorry, collinear means on the same line. Linear means line. Collinear on the same line. Let's say I have an offshoot of this line though. And I want to talk about point D and point E. Well, these 2 points, D and E, are collinear. They're on the same line. But if I want to talk about all 5 of these points, A, B, C, D, and E, now I can't call them collinear because they're not on the same line. They're on 2 different lines, so I have to say that they are non-collinear. They're not on the same line. And we could do this all day long here. Let's say this is G and this is F. So F, G are collinear, but D, E, F, G are non-collinear, not on the same line. Alright? Let's talk about our last word in this sort of grouping here. An intersection. I don't have to draw another picture. We got some here. Intersection. If I want to talk about an intersection of lines, let's say that this continues that way, this continues that way. So now we have a bunch of lines all running into each other here. And where they run into each other is a point. I'm going to emphasize it, draw it even bigger here. Here's another intersection and a point. Well, we have to label those points. Let's label this one X. Let's label that one Y. So this line right here, we could call it AB. We could call it AC. I like AC. Let's call that line AC. AC, that line intersects line DE at point X. That's how we say it. This line right here and this line right here are intersecting at a point. That's where lines intersect, and we name points. This intersection happens to be point X. Down here, line FG and line DE, they intersect too. They intersect at this point, at point Y. So lines intersect at points. Points have names, so intersections have names too. Let's clear this off and talk about an intersection of something else. Here's an intersection of two planes. Let's draw a plane. And let's say this plane runs vertical. Well, now we have an intersection, or a place where two planes are meeting here. That's more than a point. There's definitely more than a point there. And more than one point is usually a line. And it is in fact that two planes intersect at a line. So these two different planes, you can name this one plane A and this one plane B, they share a common line. They share the one that is keeping them or touching them both, right? This one right here. And we can name that line if we wanted to. Let's say this point X over here and another point Y over here. We could call that line XY. And so plane A and plane B intersect at line XY. And more than two planes can intersect at the same line. We could have an infinite amount. If I was able to draw that well, I would, but I don't have the time, nor do I have the ability. So we can have more than two planes intersecting at a line. We can have more than two lines intersecting at a point. There's no limit. Just know that an intersection of lines is a point, and an intersection of planes is a line. And hopefully you're able to recognize and name those intersections. Alright, well that's about it for that group of vocab. We'll continue on with some more videos later.